So what we got up here, this is a tower setting logging site, and kind of standing back right now as I do a little monologue here. But I think people always wondered, well, how do you get logs off of a mountainside? So this is called a tower, or they call it a yarder, line machine. There's a few different names for it. But they all kind of run the same. They're all kind of similar. So without further ado, we'll get a shot of this here. So this is a typical setting. You have a line machine. This one here in particular is called a TY 90, built by Thunderbird. What it means, that 90 means that big tube can extend 90 feet up in the air. I don't think it's at its full extension. And you can also see there's many cables that are running in many different directions. Those are called guy wires. And that's what hold the tube from collapsing, or that's what basically holds the entire line machine up so that it doesn't tip over. When the line machine starts to pull on logs that are on the mountainside, obviously the laws of physics, for every reaction there's an opposite and equal reaction. So these guy back wires, these guy lines, prevent the machine from tipping over when it starts to pull. So this orange machine here in front of me, this machine is sorting logs. You can see right now in the background, they call it a turn. When a group of logs or a log comes up the hill, they call that a turn. So we have a turn coming in right now. It looks like we got 3 logs on it. That red box with a system of pulleys on it hanging from a cable is called a carriage. Or this one, in fact, right here is called a Bowman Sky Car. And it runs up and down that cable. I think you call it Skyline. I always get them mixed up whether it's a main line or Skyline. But it runs up and down the Skyline. And then another cable, there's a winch inside that Bowman Sky Car full of cable. And it lowers cable down to men on the ground. And the men on the ground hook the logs up. And then when they're ready, they give a series of toots. They give a series of whistles. You just heard one there. I'm not the best. I've been involved with logging for most of my life, but my brother could tell you what those whistles and those horns mean. But the white and red machine that's a Link-Belt 290. That has a processing head on it. That right there, you kind of watch it in action. I've shot other videos of that thing in action, so you kind of get a sense or an idea of what that thing does. It will measure the log. It will cut the log to a desired length, and the operator inside the cab of that, he has control of all of that. And then it also shears it has what they call delimbing knives on it. Those shear all the limbs off of the log. And as you can see, most of these logs, when they come up the hill, most of the limbs have already been knocked off just through the process of dragging them across the ground. But whatever is left, that processor machine will get rid of all of them. Will get rid of the rest of them. So this is a typical landing. They call this a landing. This is where, quote unquote, use air quotes here, where they land the logs so that they can be processed and sorted. But this is a typical landing for a yarder setting. You have a yarder, you'll have a processor, and you'll have a shovel. comes another turn in the background.